My name's Jarryd, and I'm the head guide of the 3 lodges in the southern regions of andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. This is Becoming a Ranger, Tracks and Signs. What is tracking? Tracking is an ancient art and skill that over the last couple of thousand years has tied all indigenous tribes together. This skill would be used to detect danger nearby, as well as to help the hunter and gatherers be able to find their food. Today, we use tracking to find animals within ecotourism, conservation, and research. Tracking has 2 main categories, tracks and signs. Tracks being the physical print that a foot, hoof, or paw leaves in the sand, and signs being the evidence that the animal is or was there. Now, when we're talking about evidence, I could be talking about a bird alarm calling at a predator, a broken branch from an elephant, the dung from individual species, and so on. So, before you can try and identify a track, it is important to understand the structure of that track. With a predator track, you've got toes, also known as digits. You've got a main pad, also known as a metacarpal pad. You've got the indentation, which is the top of the pad. You've got the lobes, which is at the bottom of the pad, and in some cases you might have claw marks. When looking at the track of an antelope, you've got the leading edge or hoof tip, which is in the front of the track. You've got the posterior edge, which is on the back of the hoof. You've got the hoof edge or wall, and you've got the sole, which is on the inside of the hoof. So when looking at tracks and signs, there are a few things that goes through my mind. What caused this? Was it a male or female? What direction is it going in? Is it a cub or an adult? And how fresh are those tracks? Or how long ago did that animal move through that area? What species caused this track? In this case, it was an impala. What direction is the track going in? It's going forward. How old is the track? This track is very fresh. You can see how clear it is. It was caused from this morning. Is the track of a male or female? Judging by the size, this track is a male. Is it an adult or a youngster? This would be an adult male ram. Let's talk about aging tracks. Now this in fact is one of the most trickiest parts of tracking because there are so many factors which affect the age of a track. A track that is formed in wet clay looks very fresh for long as opposed to a track that is formed in dry, hot soil. So when we look at the track of the stalk, it would seem like this track was formed just minutes ago, where in fact this was formed yesterday. Whereas a track that is formed in dry, hot soil tends to lose that fresh look the quickest. Now, why is aging a track important for a guide? As a guide, when you look at the age of a track, you'll base your next decision on how old or fresh that track looks. If the track looks fresh from the last hour or so, we'll then spend a lot of time and energy within that area to look for that animal. If the track looks like it's from a couple of hours old to a day old, we'll then head into the area where the general direction of that track is heading in. And if the track is older than a day, we generally won't bother to look for that animal at all. There are also some practical ways at which you can age a track. And this is what I like to call track layering. So when looking at track layering, it's important to note what track has formed on top of the animal's track or what track has that animal formed on top of. For example, if you've got tracks of a hyena on top of a lion's track, you generally know that the lion was either from last night or the day before, or if that lion track is on top of the hyena's track, there's a good chance that that track is from this morning. The reason being is because a hyena is a nocturnal animal and therefore they mainly only move around at night. As in this case of the lion, you can see that there is a track of a millipede that is formed over this track. I don't see the millipede anywhere nearby, so I know that this track isn't fresh. Taking weather conditions into tracking is also very important. Looking at this track, I can see that there are dew droplets that has formed on top of this track. Therefore, I know the track is from before this morning. If it has rained, you look at has the track formed on top of the rain or has the rain fallen on top of the track. If it's been a windy day and you've got a track that looks very fresh, you know that the track is in fact fresh, because generally what will happen is the wind will blow sand and other debris into the track. There are three aging zones within the track. The horizon cut, which is the outer edge of the track that meets the rest of the soil. The track wall, which is the area between the horizon cut and the bottom of the track. And the bottom of the track, known as the floor cut. Congratulations if you said white rhino. This in fact is the left front foot track of a large bull white rhino. We know it's a white rhino because it has 3 toes. 1, 2, 3. And the 2 side toes are quite far up on the track. And then it's got a very predominant V at the back of the pad over there. Almost a W for white rhino. So if you said hippo, congratulations. You know this is a hippo because it's got 4 toes, 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. The 2 middle toes are about the same length, and the 2 outer toes are much further back on the track and pointing out at an angle. Alright everyone, that's all from episode 1. I trust that you've learned something. My name's Jarryd, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Becoming a Ranger, Tracks and Signs.